This is Jesse Goldberg-Strassler, joined by Lansing Lugnuts pitcher Frank Viola III. We know you as a knuckleballer with the Lugnuts. Let's trace the path that brought you to this point. First, how did you get to Florida College?
Florida College. I got to Florida College because I acted like an idiot in Division I college, and that was the path there. I think I was this typical spoiled young man that thought that he knew everything, or had all the answers, and I didn't, and I learned pretty quickly when you go to college. Teachers don't care who you are or what you do. If you don't go to class, you don't do your homework and stuff like that, you don't get treated any differently. So that was a learning curve for me, but that was the path to junior college, and looking back on it, I wish I would have taken more advantage of the schooling, but my path's my path, and I'm glad I learned from it, and it got me here. So it wasn't the best way, but it was a way.
Your couple of years in the Chicago White Sox organization, there was Tommy John, there was a knee injury. How was pitching in the Appalachian League with Bristol?
That was nice. I'm a big fisherman, so I kind of found my way to. I'm big into even back then when I was younger, even though it was more compartmentalizing back then, trying to run from things. I always loved fishing, so I always try to find an escape from baseball. When I get to the field here, and I get out there between the white lines, I'm really focused on what I want to do and how I want to do it, and I got my goals. But as soon as I leave the field, I don't like to think about baseball at all. I like to just get away, and I love the Appalachian League because they had some rivers there for trout fishing and striper fishing and stuff, and man, I love that.
Did you have a moment that led you to where you currently are, where you said, okay, I'm going to focus upon this now, or I've had a light bulb come on over my head?
It wasn't a baseball light bulb. It was a life light bulb. I personally went through a lot of things, a lot of loss and personal loss in November and early December, and I just kind of got to the end of myself, and I basically just told myself I don't want to live this way anymore. I don't want to live a dishonest life anymore, because I wasn't happy with myself, and all of the things that were happening to me were self-induced. So it comes to a point as a man when you stop pointing the finger at other people and making excuses, and you say, everything that happens to me is because of me. So, I had to make those adjustments, and the knuckleball just came with it.
When did you first happen upon the knuckleball? Who introduced you?
I was sitting in 2012 at fantasy camp. My dad was doing a fantasy camp for the Minnesota Twins, and I was sitting around a couple of the Hall of Fame guys. It was my father and Kent Herbeck and Gary Gaetti. It was it's not Gaetti, it was Gagne. And Tony Oliva and Rod Carew, and we were all talking. And Bert Blyleven was there, and we're all talking. And I was talking to Bert, I call him Uncle Bert, and just telling him how I was working hard on coming back, because I pitched in 2010. And I'm sorry, this is 2011. And I was telling him I felt like I was throwing the ball great, and I was in decent shape, not great shape, but I was in decent shape, and I was throwing the ball well, and nobody even noticed. And Tony Oliva started telling me, you should learn how to throw a knuckleball if you really want to come back, because knuckleballs are impossible to hit, and a good one, etc. And then all those guys, Blyleven and Carew and Oliva started telling war stories about Hoyt Wilhelm and Phil Necro, and it perked my interest. And I listened, and I was like, I never threw a knuckleball before, and I was like, this is stupid. I went out the next day, I tried throwing knuckleballs, and I couldn't even get the ball to not spin 10 times. I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Knuckleballs are stupid. So I heard it, but I didn't really put it into action. In 2012, I wanted to try it, and I started messing with it, and I went and worked with RA, and I had a decent feel for it. But RA is a very much a life person, and I was not on the right path in life, and I think he sensed that right away, and he helped me for a few times, and that was it. We didn't really stay in touch after that. But as soon as I went through what I went through, and I decided to change my life around, RA and I just kind of clicked, and he invited me to come up there and stay with him for a month and a half, 2 months, and that's when my life changed, and it wasn't a knuckleball change, it was a life change, and RA was, I don't know how to express him as a man, himself. And then I met Eric Kratz there and stayed with him for a week, and we got really close, and I lived with Eric during spring training, and God, those two alone are just a huge blessing in my life personally, and everything baseball is just a bonus, it's like a good changeup, to change the speeds and anything else more than that with movement or etc., it's all bonus. So
may I ask what you went through?
Yes, you may ask. I'm not going to answer that, though. I want to one day. One day, I promise. You know what? When I do come out with it, it's just at this point right now, it's still personal, and I feel like I want to get it out at some point, but just not yet.
How did you get signed by the Blue Jays?
I got a phone call from Sal Butera, and he said, we'd like to have you come down and throw for us. We're going to do a personal tryout. And he knew I'd been working hard because RA told him, and Kratz had advocated that whole thing. And they went out of their way to give me an opportunity to open up a door to show what I have, because they believed in me, And at that point, I still didn't know if I believed in myself. But I knew I was working on it hard, and that was the biggest key for me, was that there was the knowledge that I was doing the right things as a person and towards baseball. I gave it everything I had, and they opened the door up for me. And at that point, they couldn't do anything for me. The door opened up, and I had to perform. And I went there, and I threw the ball well enough to open up their eyes, and they gave me a shot.
You were signed in March. We're now seeing you in June. What happened in April and May?
A lot of learning, and I'm still doing a lot of learning. I didn't know anything. I knew how to throw a ball with no spin. That was pretty much it. And I didn't do it great. It kind of transitioned from having a great knuckleball on flat ground occasionally, and then kind of moved to the mound eventually through like the third week of spring training. And by the last week of spring training, I could throw some good ones in games and stuff. I never really threw a good one though until that last week of spring training. And my knuckleball was 58 to 62, even at the end of spring. And I thought that was where my knuckleball was going to be. And then I worked on a few things, and I tested and I dabbled and threw. I went out one day, and I was talking to RA and Eric right before they left for the season, and Kratz said, just go out one day and just throw it as hard as you can and see what happens. I went out there and I threw every knuckleball I threw was. They weren't good ones. I went out there and threw it, 74 to 76, and I was like, and I didn't hit the ball hard. And I was like, there's something to this, because it's not about just throwing the perfect knuckleball. It's about pitching still, and I think that's the big misconception of the knuckleball, or at least something I found in myself, is that it's not just throwing a ball with no spin. It's pitching a ball with no spin, because like we talked about earlier, change of speeds and eye levels is how you pitch, and anything more than that is a bonus, and a knuckleball moves all over the place. So I think that's the bonus for me, is that when I throw good ones, and I throw a lot of good ones now, it's that change of speeds and eye levels for me, then that movement's just an added bonus.
What other misconceptions do people have about the knuckleball?
It's not quite a misconception, but it is a misconception. Everybody thinks they can do it, and everybody thinks it's a gimmick. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is that it does give people hope, and I know RA loves that word. That's turned into my favorite word, is hope. Is that like a guy like Verlander, you can't really relate to him as a baseball player, because you can't do what he can do. He's just a freak. Those kind of guys are born to be who they are, and no matter what I do every single day, I'll never throw a baseball like Justin Verlander. But everybody can throw a baseball like I do, or like RA does. Why there's only 3 of us out there is because not a lot of people take the time to find it in themselves to work hard enough to master it, because anybody can do it, but to do it at a high level and to do it consistently and well, it's not easy. And I'm still, like I said, I'm throwing the ball well right now, and I'm still learning every day. And I feel like there's a lot in there that I haven't tapped yet, and I'm looking forward to that journey. It's just that's the misconception, is that it seems a lot easier than it really is, I think.
Let's talk about your first Lugnut start. It's your first start in pro ball since 2010, in affiliated ball since 2007. How are you feeling taking the mound?
Old. I went up there the other day, and I was a little nervous, and I had those normal doubts that every human being has. It's like questioning yourself: am I good enough? Did I put in the work? And I finally got. I resonated in my head something that a good friend of mine said. It's J.B. Holmes, the golfer. And I remember asking him, I said, how did you feel on the 18th hole at the Wells Fargo this year? He won it. And how did you feel having a 6-foot sliding putt for the win? You must have been so nervous. And he said, I wasn't nervous. I stepped back before I putted the ball, and I looked around, and I looked up, and I said, thank God for the opportunity. And I said, that's that. You thank God for the opportunity. You weren't nervous at all. He said, no. How many guys get a chance to make a 6-foot putt to win a golf tournament on the PGA Tour? That's all I thought about. I said, if I miss it, I'm going to a playoff. If I make it, awesome. I'm just happy to be out here. And I threw that first pitch, and I threw it for a strike, and I said, you know what? This is pretty cool. Who gets a second shot at baseball, at a baseball life, throwing a 70-mile-an-hour knuckleball at, almost 30 years old? And that was pretty cool. And I just sat there and I said to myself, I'm just lucky to be out here, and I'm going to enjoy the moment. And then I got to pitch in and stuff, and it's fun. It's fun competing. That's the thing I missed about the most. I missed being around these guys, being around guys like you, and just enjoying the camaraderie and enjoying the competition, because it's fun to compete.
You have 2 starts. We hit the All-Star break, and then here we go into the season, and now here comes a regular start for you wherever it might be. How does it feel to be back into that grind of minor league baseball?
It feels good. It gets a little bit like Groundhog's Day, obviously, but it's always something new going on there. That's the fun thing about having teammates, because you don't know what you're going to get. In the locker room, something's going on every day, something funny. I haven't that's a full question. These are such short questions, and they're so full at the same time. Somebody every day keeps it light. It's good being around the younger guys, because they love the game. And it makes me feel young again, and I love it. I just love being at the ballpark and everything about baseball. It's wonderful. It's a good escape from reality as well. But at the same time, a lot of things you go through in life correlate to baseball. So I'm hoping to pass it down to young guys, as the young guys are passing a lot. I'm learning a lot from these guys too. It's awesome.
Joined by Frank Viola III, the Lansing Lugnuts pitcher. Every time R.A. Dickey pitches at home, they say whether the roof is open or closed. What are all of those other factors that go into throwing the knuckleball that have nothing to do with you?
The only thing I have control over is my mechanics and repeating it. That's all I have control over. And luckily I've thrown enough now to where I'm starting to get the feel of different knuckleballs and stuff. And like, just for example, yesterday I threw in the bullpen, and the wind was kind of into my face a little bit and across, and it was real nasty. And after I got on the mound, about 20 minutes later, the wind was blowing straight in from center field. I don't know if you noticed that. And the knuckleball just flattened out, so I really had to work on getting on top of it and creating a little bit of rotation on over the top, because that gives it a little bit of depth. And it was just a ground ball knuckleball, and that's what I had. I couldn't. There's so much that goes into it. It's just There was no way of throwing any really, really nasty swing and miss knuckleballs yesterday, unless I really, really tried. And if I really, really try to throw those, I don't know where they're going. And I just wanted to, I talked to Charlie Huff before the game. He didn't want me to beat the Dodgers, but
apologies.
But he said, his goal, yeah, he said his goal every time he went out the mound was to throw 27 pitches for 27 outs. And I thought that's all I thought about. I had a good late moving knuckleball yesterday with the wind behind, and it didn't move a bunch, but it moved enough to miss barrels. And I just said to myself, I just want to get ground balls. That's all I want to do. If a guy gets on, I'm just going to attack guys. If he gets a hit, more power to him. I'm going to attack you with what I got. And I did a good job of that until the last inning. I tried getting cute with that 0-2 knuckleball. I tried throwing a nasty one, and it came out good, and then it went straight right on me. So I guess that's what happens when you try throwing a good one. And then I gave up a ground ball hit, which is fine. Early contact challenged him, just got through a hole, and then it was guys second and third, and I saw Kish warming up in the bullpen, and he's been doing a good job all year, and he's a ground ball guy, so it gave me a little grace in my mind to go for a strikeout there, and I got ahead, and I missed a few pitches, but I went for the strikeout, and I was okay walking him because I knew he was going to come in and get the ground ball. So, going the longest answer to your question ever that has no, I got ADD. My mind just starts going. To answer your question in a long way, I have no control over what the ball does, to be honest with you. I just know I can throw one that stays in the zone a little longer, that's not a real nasty one, but try to miss barrels with it. And then if I get ahead, I can go for that nastier one. I do think the more I learn about this, the more I got to stop trying to do that stuff, because when I got a good one, I just got to keep going with it.
You've been caught by Jorge Size both of your starts with the Lansing Lugnuts. When you're met with a new catcher who hasn't caught that knuckleball before or doesn't know you, what do you want to go over with him to make sure that you two have the same rapport?
Just a game plan, I just wanted him to know. I threw to Klein and extended, and I threw to Shanochenko. And by the way, he's a great dude too. He's working hard. He got hit in the head with a ball, and he's, wish him the best of luck. That's it. I just want him to know I'm not just throwing a knuckleball. I want him to know that we're going to pitch with it, and going over that is I want to be. Dickey always talks about finding your own personality at the pitch, and Wakefield talks about it a lot too. I want to bring pitching into knuckleballing. I know Wakefield's big into saying I'm not a pitcher with knuckleball. I'm a knuckleball pitcher. I want to be a knuckleball pitcher that pitches like a conventional guy with a knuckleball, because I think that's something that I'm capable of doing. So, getting him to understand that I want to do different things with the knuckleball. I want to set things up and stuff. And I know it's A ball, and it's hard to set these younger guys up because they're hungry and they're swinging and stuff. But I still want to work on that every time out. It's more of a battle between me and Jorge trying to pitch a game than it is really the hitter. It's not even really the hitter in there. It's just a game plan that him and I have, and it's a chess match we're trying to play. And he's doing a great job. I mean, he's only missed 2 balls so far? I mean, he's doing a heck of a good job back there, and he doesn't have a knuckleball glove. So he's doing awesome. It is cool throwing some good ones, though, and watching his eyes get really big. And he comes back and he's like, I don't know how I caught that one. It's like, I don't know how you caught that one either. That was good, though.
With your return and your story and your name, there are going to be a lot of unfamiliar names who seek you out, whether it's social media, whether it's members of the media, but it's more the familiar names that interest me. After you've come back, who has surprised you in reaching out and extending their well wishes?
Oh, God, everybody, when I went through what I went through in November, December, I was kind of surprised that I thought I had a lot of friends, and after going through it, I realized, I think all of us as we get older realize, we only have a select few real friends. But as this knuckleball thing's progressed, the guy, he's just a lot of good people, fans out there have been so supportive and so kind, and they're awesome. It's nobody out of the normal, I mean, the same people I was friends with before kind of reached out and wished their wells, Who are some cool ones? I mean, I'm friends with Larry the Cable Guy. He's reached out a few times and he's excited about it, Obviously, Justin and Kate, and they're amazing. They've been there this whole roller coaster ride. They're just great friends. I'm blessed to have them in my life. JB Holmes obviously is awesome. Dylan O'Brien, this actor, followed me. He's a big fan of the knuckleball. I didn't even know who he was, and apparently a lot of girls think he's hot. So I followed him back on Twitter. A lot of people I don't know. It's kind of weird following Twitter, then getting comments from people that have blue check marks next to their name. I'm like, I don't know who you are, but obviously you got 1 million followers. You're famous. I don't know who you are though. I don't know. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. It's fun. It's fun giving people hope. So I think a lot of people do understand that they don't know what I went through, but they know I went through something, and to see the change, or to have people notice the change in me, because I was a complete idiot for a long time.
Well, now you've made it back to the field. You've made it for 2 starts. What are your goals from here on out?
My goal is to keep growing with the pitch. Keep getting better every single day out there. I want to keep putting zeros on the board. I want to keep the team in the ball game and give them a chance to win. And if I can do that, I'm doing my job. Wherever this takes me, I'm happy with it. I'm just going to keep doing my best and do everything I can with what I'm in control of. And like I said, wherever that takes me, it takes me. Other than that, I just got to keep trying to be a good person every day and keep trying to be the best pitcher I can. And that's all I got control of.
Frank, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate it.
I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler. That's Frank Viola III, Lansing Lugnuts pitcher. You're listening to Lansing Lugnuts Baseball on Big Country 92.1.